Alright, so in this video we're taking a look at the iFlight Nazgul Evoque. So this one comes in several different variations. This one here has the dead cat frame configuration, or dead cat geometry. So that means it's got the front arms a little bit further back and spread apart, so the props don't show up in the view of the FPV camera or the GoPro. The traditional squashed X frame of the Nazgul 5 is still available as well if you want one of those, but as before, the props will show up in your FPV feed and on the GoPro footage. So if you're looking for the new Nazgul that doesn't have that, mainly if you're kind of looking for something for some cruising around, more like kind of cinematic flying, this is the one to get. Obviously the normal squished X is available as well. This here is the DJI version, so it comes with the Vista and the Caddx, the new Caddx Polar camera. This is the standard configuration now for DJI builds these days. And if you know, obviously there's an analog version as well, so I think there's 4 variations, and within those variations there's 4S motors and 6S motors. So this one here is the 4S motor version. I don't know what the KV is. I think they left it out on purpose. So if you're wondering what the KV is for the 4S and 6S versions, I don't know, and they're not on the product page. So I think they did it on purpose because all the motors are blacked out. As you can see here, there's no markings on any of the motors. I thought this was maybe a mistake. I thought maybe I was like a pre-production version, but this is actually the way they come, with nothing on here. So these are the new Zing 2 motors, or Zing 2 Pro or something like that. Basically the latest version of the Zing motor, not the budget line. So it's a 2207 motor, and like I said, the KV is not known, but my guess is, based on the performance, somewhere around 2600 kV is my guess on what this is. Again, I don't have the 6S version. I didn't fly, so I have no idea. Now, this model here is not targeting the budget flyer, the budget pilot, and or the sort of minimalistic pilot, looking for a minimalistic build. This is kind of got a little bit of everything in terms of the bling. It's got lots of LEDs. There's LEDs here on the side. I'll show you here. It looks like here in the corner. I posted this up on my Instagram already, so if you want to check it out. These little side panels light up. Over here as a green LED, and then you have this plastic side panel that protects your stack from things getting thrown in there. So obviously they're doing a props out configuration, and sometimes when you do that, if you go in some grass or dirt, especially dirt with like little tiny stones, they'll get thrown into the flight stack when you're flying, and sometimes little components on the boards get popped off. And it kills your quad, and you basically have to replace an ESC or flight controller. So this is very practical in terms of saving your components inside the quad, but is also, as you can see here, very aesthetically pleasing in my opinion, especially with the LEDs. Looks very, I don't know, techno or futuristic, especially when it's lit up. And then they have LEDs on the bottom. So I believe this LED here, when you plug it in, it'll tell you, I think it's based on the battery voltage, it'll be not as bright if it's a low battery voltage. And then these LEDs in the arms and the bottom are green, and then there's I think these are also green. They might be white inside, but they shine green for the TPU landing feet. And I don't know how they're doing this with the LED here on the arm, or I'm not exactly sure how that will affect durability, but it's like basically there's a channel that's been grooved in to the arm for the LED, but they did make the arm thicker. It's a 6mm arm, so maybe that makes up for that. You have 3mm sandwich plates here, so these are 3mm thick, 3mm bottom plate, 3mm top plate. So yeah, this thing's heavy. It's got all this bling and TPU and protection from crashes. It's got all these TPU parts here in the back, antenna mount, crossbar antenna mount. Crossbar receiver is sitting in this little TPU part here, between the bottom plate and the main part of the frame. And then you have this TPU part that holds the antenna, plus the XT60. So you do have to have a battery lead that's going to be long enough to basically come around, because it's coming in at an angle. So I use this battery here with a longer lead here. I'll show you that a little bit more here in a second. But yeah, basically it's pretty heavy. So if you're looking for ultimate performance, probably this is not going to be it. This is going to be more for cruising. And again, I don't have the other version. I wasn't interested in testing that one because I've already flown that frame before, so I was more interested in seeing how this one flies. This one is coming in here. This is all up, not the all up weight, but this is the weight with just no battery, no GoPro. 447 grams. So I flew with a 1300 4S. I would recommend flying with a larger battery. These 2207 motors can definitely go larger. All of my 1550 batteries didn't have a battery lead that was long enough to fit this battery connector. I couldn't get the battery plugged in and strapped in, so I went with a smaller 1300. You're going to get a lower flight time. I think I got maybe 3.5 minutes. I forget exactly. So let's just put all this on here. You got the quad, you got your batteries. So that quad battery together is 614 grams, and I have here are 6. And that's what this mount is for. So all up 730 grams. So yeah, definitely getting there towards the heavier side. I think if you're getting above 700, I would categorize that as on the heavy side. I know that there's plenty of guys out there to fly 5-inch, 750, 800 grams. And they swear there's not a problem, but you'll feel it, and it affects your flight performance, and it also shortens your flight time. But as I said, this is a quad. I kind of like basically specced out. It's got like kind of all the latest and greatest, best of the best stuff, which is going to be tough to do in this sort of, this year, 2021, when components are hard to find. So they have a F7 flight controller in here with twin gyros, and the DJI version, is that right? Yeah, the DJI version comes with a 55 amp, 32-bit 4-in-1 ESC, so it's 20x20 stack in there. The analog version comes with a 45 amp, 32-bit ESC. So I think because analog version is going to be a little bit lighter, they went with a little bit less spec ESC. But yeah, basically this year, F7 flight controllers are hard to come by. This is why this is a very expensive build overall. And for those of you guys that are more into budget builds, I hate to say it, I think 2021 is just going to just be a year that's going to suck for you guys. Components are very hard to find, and I know for a fact that they are building this in limited quantity. So if you really like the way this looks and the way it looks in terms of flight and everything like that, and the components, and if this is something that appeals to you, I would probably jump on it sooner than later, because they may run out of components and may not be able to build enough of these, and they may, due to the shortage, be out of stock for a long time. I'm thinking, I've been hearing stories like, yeah, things aren't going to get better until like a year from now. So I always tell people, if you like something, you should probably snag it when you can, because you never know what the situation is going to be like in the future. That's kind of a situation we're in right now for 2021. But overall, the build is very nice. Very typical iFlight quality, in my opinion. PID tune is pretty spot on. I think I was flying with the battery is a little bit on the lighter side, so if I had a 1550 battery with a longer lead, then I probably would go with that. Find something with a longer battery lead, because of this situation with the battery connector like this. The advantage is, you're never going to chop that battery lead off, and it's going to protect your battery lead coming to the battery as well. That's a pretty common problem, especially when you crash. It's okay when you're flying around for a lot of builds, but typically where the battery lead gets chopped off is when you crash and things shift around. So this is very, very secure, but the disadvantage is you need a battery with a very long battery lead to be able to plug it in this way. I wish they would have, instead of making it coming out at an angle like this, it would have been better if it was straight up and down. So if they can change the design of this TPU, that would mean that the battery lead coming out of the battery doesn't have to be nearly as long, because it's got to come all the way around and then basically reverse direction. So that's why it needs to be so long. That's only, I think, out of all the things of this particular build, that's probably my only real gripe. Other than that, I think it's fantastic. This is something that I'm going to be keeping in my collection for a while. So yeah, if you guys are like, oh, I want to acquire it, yeah, you'll have to go to the link down in the description to pick this up if you're interested. And I would probably, do it sooner than later. I don't know how long they're going to have them in stock or which stores are going to have them. Right now, though, I think the only ones I've seen so far are iFlight and Banggood. Of course, Pyrodrone, Race City Guys, they might be getting some batches in later, but I haven't heard any definitive answers about that yet. So I will add those links later if they do come out, usually, and I announce them on my community page as well. So you'll see that if that happens. I try and keep you guys informed of that. That's about it. I will link the full narrated flights and all that, good stuff down in the video description as always. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of this guy. This is a really nice build, but it's not for everybody. Not for you budget guys. It's very expensive. And, if you're looking for sort of like the best of the best components and stuff, this is kind of like their, very nicely spec'd out build. I think they had a different line, like Sedora or something like that before, that was like their nice build. So I'm not sure if they're going to be doing a Sedora version or something like this later with even better components. I mean, I don't know what other better components you can put in here other than an F7, maybe an H7 perhaps. And of course, then at that point the cost is going to go up like astronomically. I mean, it could be 50% more than what this is. So who knows? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Talk to you guys in the next one.